Japan is preparing for a much more dangerous Asia. China is expanding military and economic power. Taiwan tensions are rising. Global supply chains are becoming geopolitical weapons. And Tokyo believes the old Japanese model is no longer enough. For decades, Japan focused on economic growth, stability, and cautious politics. Now Japan is focusing on power, resilience, and strategic survival. And Vietnam has become one of the most important parts of that strategy. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi is pushing Japan into a completely new era. Tokyo is increasing defense spending, Japan is strengthening industrial policy, and the government is treating technology, energy, and supply chains as national security issues. Japan believes economics and security are now fully connected. Semiconductors are strategic, critical minerals are strategic, energy systems are strategic. Tokyo no longer believes economic interdependence guarantees stability. Japan now believes vulnerability can be weaponized. That is why Japan is changing so aggressively. Japan is no longer treating Vietnam as just a cheap manufacturing destination. Tokyo now sees Vietnam as a strategic partner in the competition shaping Asia's future. During Takaichi's 2026 visit to Vietnam, the focus was very clear: semiconductors, artificial intelligence, critical minerals, energy systems, maritime security. This was not normal diplomacy. This was economic security strategy. Japan wants supply chains that are less exposed to China. And Vietnam has become one of the most important alternatives. Japan understands the risk very clearly. China still dominates huge parts of manufacturing, industrial processing, and supply chains across Asia. If tensions over Taiwan or the Indo-Pacific escalate further, Beijing could use economic pressure as leverage. That creates a serious vulnerability for Japan. So Tokyo is trying to diversify production and reduce strategic dependence on China. But Japan also understands something important. Simply moving factories into Vietnam is not enough. If Vietnam still depends heavily on Chinese machinery, materials, or industrial systems, then the dependency still exists underneath the surface. That is why Japan is focusing on something much bigger than manufacturing. Tokyo wants resilient systems, reliable infrastructure, stable energy networks, stronger logistics, and long-term industrial capability. Vietnam is growing rapidly. Global companies are pouring investment into the country. Factories are expanding, and international supply chains are shifting toward Vietnam. But Vietnam still faces major structural weaknesses: infrastructure gaps, energy constraints, skill shortages, and uneven industrial development. Vietnam risks becoming economically important without becoming strategically powerful, because attracting investment is only the first step. Building long-term capability is much harder, and Japan believes that is where this partnership becomes important. Japan's strategy is no longer just defensive. Tokyo wants to shape the future balance of power across Asia. That is why Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific strategy matters. Japan wants stronger regional supply chains, stronger maritime security, and stronger partnerships that can resist geopolitical pressure. Vietnam has become one of the key pieces in that strategy, because this is no longer only about trade. This is about influence, systems, technology, and strategic power across the Indo-Pacific. Japan is rebuilding itself into a stronger strategic state. Vietnam is trying to become more capable and more influential. And both countries believe the regional environment is becoming far more dangerous. China's rise, Taiwan tensions, supply chain competition, and geopolitical rivalry are pushing Asia into a completely new era. The countries that build resilient systems, strong partnerships, and long-term capability will shape the future regional order. And Japan wants to make sure China does not shape it alone.